My first memory of model trains is I met a friend of mine, Matt Steinheiser, and in his basement, his father had put together a train board for him and his brothers. His train set was awesome because you could drive it around. I mean, we were loading milk cans, we were dumping logs. It was just, you had all these different things that you could do, and just to drive them around, watching them run around the track, it was just something that just instantly I grabbed onto, and I said, man, this is something that I gotta do. My name is Albert Charleston. What I have behind me here is 14 years of building a train board. I always wanted to build a train empire. I got into trains at a young age, and this is something that I've been dreaming of doing for a very long time, and I was finally able to make it happen when we moved into this house. Probably the first piece that I actually bought when I got this going was the track. So I bought this track called Gargraves, which is an amazing model railroading track. It looks good, it's easy to work with. Probably one of the first buildings that I bought was the Al's Diner, which was a Mel's Diner at first, but then we had to sell that on eBay because my wife found an Al's Diner, so quickly switched that out. One of my favorite things about building this train board was being able to find different things out in nature and incorporate that on my train board. A lot of the bushes that you see are actually moss that grew on the floor of northern Michigan that I would pluck, bring home in bags that my wife would get pissed because it would stink up the van, and I'd paint them and flock them to make them look like bushes. Just the realism of it for me was incredible. There was nothing in a hobby shop that you could find that would look like that. My favorite engine is the 844 Niagara. It is a monster engine. It can pull 50, 60 cars easily, and just the look of the engine. I remember seeing it in the hobby store and wanting to buy it and having to save up my money before I can get it. And it took a little while because it was a pretty pricey piece, but well worth the money, no doubt. These engines all have onboard computers on them with IP addresses. You apply constant power to the track, and then you tell the engine how much power to absorb from the track. And you can run 2-3 trains on the same track, one of the things that you were never able to do back in the old days, and it's really made it a lot more fun. I have a couple ovals that I'm running more than one engine on. A lot of the memories that I have when I was putting the track and putting everything together is my boys were a little bit younger at that time, both in elementary school, and they like to help out quite a bit. So it was really a father-son project, and I got a lot of enjoyment out of working with them. I got this idea. I started painting some clouds on there. And my wife came down and she was looking at my clouds, and I'm not much of an artist, but she kind of thought maybe a hurricane was rolling in or something. So I had to reach out to some people who are a lot better than that at that aspect of me, and I gotta thank my brother Tom and my father-in-law Mike for coming over. They are completely responsible for the way that this looks with the trees. To me, I think it really added a lot of life to the train board to have that backdrop in there. It was very nice to have them come over and help me complete that part of it. Yeah, I think the person that was inspired most by what I was doing is my nephew, John Jones. He came over and seen what I was building, and he kind of caught the bug too, and next thing you know, he was taking over his parents' basement. It would be nice to see him build his empire, see how his turns out. He was getting pretty good with a lot of the things that he was doing. I dedicated this brewery to my father over here. I don't know why I would dedicate the brewery to him. He didn't even drink beer. He helped me out quite a bit when I was building one of my first empires in the basement. I didn't have the money to finish buying all the buildings and everything else for my little city. So he said, let's go get the rest of the things that you need, and we'll finish it up. And I thought that was pretty cool. Well, I've had this train board for 14 years, and last couple years I've really kind of lost the desire to get on it and work on it the way I used to. And so I've decided to take it all down. I have found a buyer who's going to buy the complete collection, and I'm moving into more like pinball machines and things like that, and we're going to go from a train board empire to a game room. So we're going to start taking everything apart and boxing it back up, and geez, I hope it don't take 14 years to do that. Hardest part about taking all this down is when I'm going to have to start cutting into those mountains and know that it's going to be very difficult to save them, that quite possibly they'll be trashed as a result of that, because there's a lot of time and effort put into those mountains, just with the construction and the landscaping and all the hours of plastering them up and working the plaster to get the right texture of rock and everything else. So those would be hard. If we have to destroy those, that'll be sad to see all that work go down the drain. I know that there are going to be some moments where I look at it as I'm taking it apart, that it's going to, you know, really hit home, all the effort, and just to see it all coming down. I'm sure there will be some emotional moments when I'm taking certain pieces off and remembering what it took to get this particular area to the state it's in before I take it down. So yeah, there's going to be some things, I'm sure, all the way through from start to finish till it's finally gone, you know. Oh yeah, there's a lot of people that I'd like to thank for helping me. Of course, my wife, number one, for allowing me to take over the basement. It was a little bit of battle with her to get her to realize that this is going to be okay. And I want to thank my boys, Michael and Zachary, for helping me work on it. Of course, my father-in-law, Michael Tingley, for doing the mural, and with my brother Tom Charleston for helping me do the mural. My friend Matt Steinheiser helped me out quite a bit. Actually, he donated his train collection that was in his father's basement that got me into the hobby. He actually gave me all the items from that train board, plus additional ones that he had purchased for his own empire that he had built one time. I'd like to thank him. But I'm only going to keep one piece, and that is I built a bandstand with the band that I've been in for years, the Hideous Beer Gypsies, and that is the one piece that I will not sell. That is priceless, so that'll stay with me. Yeah, I would encourage anybody that, you know, if they felt like this is something that they wanted to do but didn't think they could do it, you'd be surprised at how much you can do. And it's really not as difficult as it may look. You look at all the things behind me, and it's just step by step, you know. It's just, you know, it's really not that difficult. So it's just more time consuming than anything. So if it's something that you thought you'd want to have but could never do, you know, challenge yourself. I faced many challenges down here, and you know, and it all worked out. So.